You know, when you hear The Phantom of the Opera, your mind probably goes straight to the epic music, the sweeping romance. But Gaston Leroux's original novel? That's a whole different beast. It's a true masterpiece of Gothic horror, a really terrifying story about obsession, murder, and a monster hiding in the dark. So today, we're going to peel back the layers of that tragic romance to uncover the real horror story that started it all.
Right from the get-go, Leroux sets up his novel like it's a piece of investigative journalism, not fiction. He's presenting letters, eyewitness accounts, all as hard evidence. He tells us his conclusion right there in the preface, and that's exactly where we're going to start too. We're treating this as a true story, because for the people inside that opera house, the terror was absolutely real. Long before anyone ever saw a mask or a face, they felt him. The Phantom's reign of terror didn't start with some big dramatic entrance. No, it was this creeping, atmospheric dread that just seeped into every corner of that magnificent building. He was a story, a whisper in the hallways, a ghost who ruled through a fear you just couldn't shake.
And you can see just how tight his grip was. This wasn't some random haunting. It was methodical, almost like a business. He had these very specific, non-negotiable demands. A private box, box 5, always reserved for him. A salary, can you believe it? Paid every month like he was on the payroll. The staff, from the dancers to the stagehands, they all lived by his rules, clutching little bits of iron to ward him off. He was the opera's most demanding and, without a doubt, its most feared patron.
And then, the legend turned deadly. There was a stagehand, Joseph Bouquet, who'd been bragging that he'd actually seen the Phantom, describing him to all the terrified ballet girls. Well, not long after, he's found dead, hanging from a rope, deep down in the 3rd cellar. The official story was suicide, but come on, everybody knew the truth. The ghost did not like being seen, and he really did not like being talked about. This was the first bloody proof that his threats were very, very real.
So now, the story zooms in. It goes from this public terror affecting everyone to something deeply personal. The ghost, who our young singer Christine only knows as the angel of music, has been secretly coaching her, and she's completely captivated by this heavenly voice. But she has absolutely no idea who, or more importantly, what he truly is, hiding behind the walls of her dressing room.
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? That's what drives the whole story. Christine is just overcome with this desperate, almost fatal curiosity. She feels like she has to know. So one day, when she's alone with him in his lair, deep, deep beneath the opera, she reaches up and she pulls the mask away. And what she sees, it is pure horror. This isn't just a man with a few scars. This is a living death's head. The description is just bone-chilling. No real eyes, just these dark, empty sockets. No nose to speak of, just a black skeletal hole, a paper-thin mouth that barely moves. He's a skull, brought to life by this white-hot, demonic rage of being exposed. Eric's reaction is somehow just as terrifying as his face. He doesn't beg for pity. He doesn't try to explain. He just explodes with this grotesque possessive fury. He basically declares that she's his property now. He twists her curiosity into this unbreakable bond, and then has the nerve to compare his monstrous obsession to the great lover, Don Juan. It's just hideous. And this is the part that really gets you. He completely embraces his own horror. He doesn't see himself as a man with a deformity. He believes he is death itself. He defines himself as a walking corpse. And his love isn't some saving grace. It's a chilling, possessive death sentence. How do you escape a love that is, itself, a living death? But Eric's terror wasn't just for the shadows and his underground home. Oh no. He was more than willing to bring his horror right out into the spotlight, turning a sold-out opera house into his personal stage for a very public and very spectacular revenge.
So, the new managers, they think this whole ghost thing is a joke, a prank left behind by the old guys. So when Eric sends them an ultimatum for that night's performance of Faust, they defy him on every single point. They mock his demands, they put their own diva in the lead, and they even go sit in his private box themselves, thinking they're so clever. And boy, was that a mistake.
The performance starts. The lead singer, Carlotta, takes the stage. The managers are sitting all smug in the Phantom's personal box, box 5, probably patting themselves on the back. Carlotta takes a deep breath, ready to let loose with this beautiful soaring aria. But instead of music, this, grotesque croak, like a giant toad, erupts from her throat. It just echoes through the stunned silence of the theater. The whole audience just gasps. She panics, tries again. Quack! The ghost has literally stolen her voice and replaced it with this sound of pure mockery, all in front of thousands of people.
So, the show, somehow, goes on. Christine takes over the part, and she sings like an absolute angel. The audience is just hypnotized, and as she hits her final, triumphant note, at that exact second, every single light in the opera house goes out. The world is plunged into absolute, screaming blackness.
A moment later, the lights flicker back on, and the stage is empty. Christine has vanished into thin air, abducted from the middle of a crowded stage, leaving nothing but chaos behind. This single act proves it. The Phantom is no myth. He's real, and his power over the very building he helped create is absolute.
Okay, so after Christine is kidnapped, her fiancé Raoul and this mysterious guide known only as the Persian go deep into the labyrinth beneath the opera to save her. And now they're entering Eric's world, a place of secret passages, hidden traps, all of it built by him. And it's down there that they find the true, dark heart of his genius, his personal torture chamber.
Now, to really get what this room is, you have to understand where Eric came from. He wasn't just a musician, he was an architect of pain. For the Shah of Persia, he designed these incredibly clever traps, assassination devices, entire buildings designed for psychological torment. So this chamber isn't just a room, it's a meticulously engineered machine designed for suffering. It's the masterpiece of his dark genius.
Raoul and the Persian walk right into a trap. They find themselves in this six-sided room where every single surface, walls, floor, ceiling, is a mirror. There's no door, no window, no way out that they can see. And the temperature just keeps climbing, slowly, steadily roasting them alive in an oven of their own reflections.
But the heat is only the beginning. The mirrors, which are one of Eric's most ingenious inventions, start to create illusions. First, the room looks like a cool, lush forest. Then a vast burning desert. They see a shimmering oasis. They can hear the sound of trickling water. They can even feel what feels like the patter of rain on their skin. But it's all a mirage. A cruel trick of light and sound designed to shatter their minds with false hope while they die of thirst.
So while the men are being tortured, Eric gives Christine this absolutely impossible choice, symbolized by two little figures on a box, a scorpion and a grasshopper. If she turns the scorpion, the tons of gunpowder he stashed in the cellars will blow, destroying the entire opera house, killing everyone inside, including her and Raoul. If she turns the grasshopper, water will flood the chamber and save them, but she has to agree to become his wife. Forever. And in this moment, she makes the ultimate sacrifice. To stop the torture of the men she can hear screaming, to prevent a massacre that would kill hundreds, she condemns herself. She agrees to be his bride, a living wife for the living corpse. She turns the grasshopper.
And her choice just breaks something inside of Eric. In this final, shocking act of pity and acceptance, Christine walks up to this monster and she kisses his forehead. This one simple act of affection, the very first he has ever known in his entire life, it completely shatters him. He confesses that even his own mother would run from him in horror, throwing him his first mask instead of ever touching him. That single moment of compassion makes him release Christine and Raoul. He tells them to go, to be happy. He dies a few weeks later, all alone, supposedly of a broken heart. So, what are we left with? The story gives us a terrifying monster, for sure, but it also gives us this tormented genius, a man so completely and utterly rejected by the world that he became its nightmare. What he did was evil, but what was done to him? That's the question that just haunts you long after the story's over.